All right, so we got our answer on if the Colorado Avalanche were done making moves. No. The answer to that is no. And could there still be some more moves there? We still got another day for this, so why not? Let's talk about them. New episode, Locked on Avalanche, coming at you.
You're Locked on Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
As always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. Make sure you're tuned into our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter X, Locked on Avalanche on Instagram and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. Make sure you're subscribed to our subtext as well. Link to that's in the show notes below. And when you do, you chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinions and thoughts and everything, Avs, which we share on this very show. So we will get to those today. We couldn't yesterday because it was so busy. So we'll get to some of the comments from the subtext crew today. And I think we found our resident GM within our subtext community. So very, very savvy picks by one of the people over in subtext. So we'll get to that. Avs playing Friday night against the Minnesota Wild, so we will discuss that. But first, Kyle, there's more moves that the Avs made. These were more depth moves, but still just as important in the grand scheme of things. What happened the other day was that was, you'd have to believe, their big splash, their big moment for the trade deadline and getting Mittelstadt and Walker. What they did on Thursday was just fortify the depth pieces, which you can never have enough of as you finish out the season and head into the postseason. So let's start with the first one that they made. And this is kind of funny because they're going up against the Wild. And the move that they made was a deal with the Minnesota Wild. And they bring in Brandon Duheime for a 2026, third round pick. What do you think? It's okay. Again, the depth pieces, so we're not expecting like miracles here. But what do you think of the player?
I think he's okay. I think he's going to be probably third, fourth line, depending. Like it's
Probably
again.
Fourth. I would think he's safely entrenched at the fourth. Would be where he's
especially with who else they brought in. I think it might. You're correct. He probably will be sitting in the fourth line. But again, you never know who's going to get hot. Well, we would talk about the useless thing, the hot hand. He might get hot, but it's a nice piece to have.
Right, and that's what you just said is the long and the short of it. It's just it's a nice piece to have, and he does bring something that the Avalanche don't really have, especially in the forwards, with the exception of like Miles Wood. Miles Wood will mix it up with people. Who else do they really have that's up there that you're like
Ross Colton?
Forward? Yeah, but he's not like excuse me, he's not like the big body type of guy that will just throw down with any. But I mean, he will, but it's not like he's not known for that. He's got like Duhaime's known for it.
Yeah,
he will do that. So it gives you a little bit of more grit on the forward lines rather than. I mean, really across the board, the Avalanche just they lack that guy. McDermott's gone. Did he really do it anyway? No. Josh Manson's your guy to do that now. Maybe Jack Johnson. He's not afraid to. He's a solid guy. So I mean, you're not known for this anyway, but he kind of gives you a little bit of that like street cred type of don't mess with certain guys or he'll go after you. It's not a bad thing to have in your back pocket.
Yeah, when we did the hour-long trade show, I talked about Matt Dumba being that possibility, but McFarland went for another Minnesota Wild player with a little bit of grit. So
yeah,
it'll be all right.
I did reach out to Seth Topol, host of Locked on Wild, and if you were on Twitter or X, you would think that Minnesota just traded Wayne Gretzky. Like they are attached to this guy. You know what I mean? And I get it. Like there's a lot of players, and we've done it too as Avalanche fans. When you have guys that have been with you for a little while and they're going, like Tyson Jost.
Yeah.
To this day, there's still Avalanche fans that miss Tyson Jost. So everybody has their players that they follow. It seems like he was a favorite for Minnesota Wild fans. So if you're watching over on YouTube, I'll just put this up. What Seth sent. He said Brandon Duheime is a high motor guy, capable PKer, and a bulldog. He won't back down from a fight, and every time he comes on the ice, he makes his presence felt immediately. Y'all got a good one, is how he finished that up. So, and I don't think Seth, you know, I respect the heck out of Seth. I don't think he would just blow smoke and just say, no matter what guy we got, just because he's on the Wild and that's the team that he follows, you got a good one. I genuinely think in reading kind of a lot of what people were saying, they were sad to see him go.
Well, and maybe I'm excited to see the potential that he can bring, especially to that fourth line. And if he can bring just like a little bit of grit and a little bit of punch and a little bit of physicality right before that top line gets on the ice, that's going to be an absolute advantage for the Avalanche. So I'm interested to see where he slots in and fits on this roster that's already expanding by the moment.
As I was not a fan of him for the most part. One, because he plays for the Wild. Two, because he's that type of guy that you don't like when he's on another team. So let's see if that changes. If the mindset changes now that he's playing for the Burgundy and Blue, we'll see if the mindset changes. We'll see. The other move the Avalanche made was, again, within the division. These were divisional moves, which is a little bit surprising, but hey, they got Yakov Trenin and the rights to Graham Sward from Nashville in exchange for Jeremy Hansel and a 2025 third-round pick. So they really swapped third-round picks, bumped back a year with, Minnesota, because they get the one from Nashville. The interesting thing about this deal is in the morning on Thursday, they announced that Jeremy Hansel got a 3-year contract extension. The Colorado Avalanche did. 2 hours later, he's out the door. I'm sure that all factored into all of this moving around stuff. I would have to assume that, because I don't feel like this deal they signed him and then within like an hour, this deal happened. Anything is possible, I guess, but I would have to believe that signing him and then trading him off was part of the deal somehow. Doesn't matter, whatever. Again, another depth move that, okay, we'll see how this, I can't sit here and be like, this is great, this is an awesome move. It's like, we'll see what comes of it. And if down the road we can look back and say like, hey, that was a pretty good move at the time, we can do that. We can't do that right now, I think, with it.
I like this move a little bit more than the Minnesota move because of, hey, the Avalanche trading away Hansel. I think he was 5th round pick, if I'm not mistaken. He was deep, like 132
so.
for the Avs, and they signed him to that ELC and then sent him out. Cool.
Yep.
Entry level deal, out the door. You get a guy who's sitting on 14 points right now. 10 of those are goals. He's got 10 goals, 4 assists. And if you're going to put him on the third or the fourth line, it's appealing. It's a Burakovsky light version. If he can, if he can, it's like the paid version of the app and the free version of the app. That's what you might be getting here. He's also got a little bit of that edge, a little bit of that grit. I'm excited to see what we can get here. And again, the fourth line just became a really appealing thing to talk about around this Avalanche team.
Not only the fourth line, which, yes, I think the fourth line improved, the penalty kill. So the moves that they made are you always saw, like Jay Fresh is always posting stuff when there's deals going on. He posts for each guy that gets moved. The common thread here was Avalanche the guys that they brought in are good on the penalty kill. So I think, and I don't think that's by accident. I think they're covering all of those bases all at once. You're getting depth guys, Yeah, I mean, and we've always said this with depth. Like, if you get points from your bottom six, that's just a bonus, right? So, do you want them to have offensive abilities? Yeah, sure, of course you do, but you don't want them to just be liabilities. You just want to be. You like using the term pylons all the time. You don't want them to be that. So, it seems like that's the direction they're heading in. And then, yeah, when you got to kill a penalty, and the Avs have a good penalty kill as it is, that just
Mhm.
improved even more.
Yep, and every move that they made, even including yesterday or the day before, like the Avalanche are sitting on 11th right now in penalty kill. You've just improved that with every move you made, and every center that came in, they have really good face-off numbers, and
Mm,
that's honestly that's the big glaring statistical gaffe with this team. They're sitting
mhm,
24th when it comes to face-off percentage. You've improved that. And going into the playoffs, this is what you need. You're shoring up everything else. You have a good power play. You could score goals, but you also need that penalty kill to be stout if you're going to make a deep run in the playoffs. And you got to start winning faceoffs to have the puck to score goals. So the Avalanche are not just addressing it with character and talent, but they're addressing the statistical problems that they've
mhm.
had so far this season.
In a lot of times with depth moves, like I was just saying, like it's tough to you can sit here and say like, okay, like that should work, but a lot of times you don't know.
Yeah.
So it's tough to just sit here and grade stuff like this. I like them.
Mhm.
I don't think they're bad moves. When we can really fully say, did it work? Did it not work? Is when everything is all said and done. We'll look back on it. If it ends the way we want it to end, home run moves, Chris McFarland. Clearly,
Yeah.
we're not there yet. We'll see.
No move has been a bad move, but it doesn't make you feel any better when Bowen Byram's already scored for the Buffalo
He
Sabres.
has. Isn't that amazing? He has.
Mm.
And the last thing I want to talk about is the other one that they got in this deal, Sward. I reached out to Ann over at Locked On Predators. She sent me an article from Penalty Box Radio. He's a defenseman, big guy. I don't know much about him, but he plays in the WHL. He's second amongst defenders in scoring. He's got 15 goals and 73 points in 58 games right now. I mean, it's a WHL, but hey, who knows? It's one of those guys you take a flyer on, see if anything comes about. But that's not bad numbers right there for a defenseman. Why
Yeah,
not?
and on the
Take a
cheap.
shot. Yeah, exactly. So take a shot. So, all right. The guys that they do have from the other day, Mittelstadt and Walker, they will be in the game. So, what are these lines going to look like for the Avs? We'll take our best stab at that. We'll do that next. First, let's hear from Factor. Eating better is easy with Factor's delicious, ready to eat meals. Every fresh, never frozen meal is chef crafted, dietitian approved, and ready to go in just 2 minutes. You'll have over 35 different options to choose from every week, including Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Also, there are more than over 60 add ons to help you stay fueled up and feeling good all day long. So, what are you waiting for? Get started today and get after your goals. They've got 2 minute meals, like we said, fuel up fast with Factor's restaurant quality meals that are ready to heat up whenever you are. And trust me, like we were saying yesterday, we checked out the website. Some delicious looking things over there on that website. What do you think?
I love the protein heavy meals, and they have the meals that are suited for exactly what I want, delivered just how I need.
And our very own Shaggy Van Doom has cut out the nicotine in his life. So eating healthier is maybe a little bit more on his radar right now.
I can taste the food now.
Hey, love it. So head to factormeals.com/locked on NHL 50 and use the code locked on NHL 50 to get 50% off. Once again, that code is locked on NHL 50, locked on NHL 50 at factormeals.com/locked on NHL 50. All right. So, yes, Jared Bednar did say Casey Mittelstadt and Sean Walker will be in the lineup for the Friday game against the Minnesota Wild. We don't know if any of the other new acquisitions are going to be there. You would think Duheime could be. They're on their way there anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think they got there yet, but he possibly could be. But we know Mittelstadt and Walker will be. By the way, I did a segment over at Locked On with Joe over at Locked On Sabres. And the one thing that I asked him was, what is Mittelstadt looking for in a contract, or what was being thrown around between him or the Sabres, or what was just out there as a dollar value for him? And he told me he's somewhere in what they were thinking was somewhere in the 5 to 6 AAV range. Yeah. Kyle gave 2 thumbs up. I think they could make that happen.
That's especially if everything goes according to plan and what you
Mhm.
kind of fantasy match up this roster. If he can produce what we think he's going to,
Mhm.
sure, sign me up.
So what are you thinking for tonight's matchup? On what he's going to be at the second line. But you know, your I guess with these new guys, I don't know. Like, do you want to do this as, hey, what if this is like the first game of the playoffs and throw Gabe Landeskog into this mix? Or what are you looking at for tomorrow? I don't care.
See, that's the thing. I want to keep the playoff roster separate because again, this game will also be going on the end of the trade deadline. We're not 100% sure this
Mhm.
roster is complete yet. There might be another move or
There
two
could be.
up McFarland's sleeve. I would like to look at what this roster could be for the rest of the season, or at least this Minnesota Wild game.
Yeah, just do that.
And you got Mittelstadt 2C.
So I mean, we'll go right at the top. So your first line, obviously McKinnon, Rantanen. What else are you doing for the first line right now? You're going back to Drouin. Are you keeping Lehkonen up there right now? What are you looking at?
I want to put Drouin back up there. I really like that, and I miss that when we put Lehkonen up there. It's nice, but I really want Drouin back up there.
And he's been playing. I mean, he hasn't like done this like massive dip, Drouin. I think he had a little bit of a goal scoring drought, but he's had a couple in the past few games. Like, I think he's getting that touch back a little bit. I would have no problem doing that.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, if you said Lehkonen, okay, fine. You're saying Drouin, I'm okay with that too. So, and part of the reason why I was always the guy that liked separating Val Nichushkin and Arturi Lehkonen, because those are your best forecheckers, and to have them, go lines back to back, that's kind of a nightmare for an opposition. But we saw many times where those two guys are on the same line. And by all accounts, we should be getting Val Nichushkin back on Friday. It has not been confirmed 100% yet, but I don't know what is the holdup here. He's got to get approved by the league. I don't know what the process is. Whatever it is, they got to expedite it a little bit quicker, because it seems like he's been ready to go for about a week now, and we're still waiting. Let's just assume he is in this game. Is that what your second line is right there? Oh, hang on, you're muted.
No, that's exactly what I would do. I would do Lehkonen on the left, Nichushkin on the right, Mittelstadt as my 2C.
Definitely. That's a solid top six, man.
Oh.
That is a good looking top six. So then you move down to your third line. I haven't heard anything with Logan O'Connor. I don't know if he's coming back yet. Again, I just want to assume that even if he's not, we're going to kind of going forward with like what it's looking like for the rest of the season and for this game. If he does come back, is this Roaring 20s line? Why break that up?
No, I'd keep Roaring 20s line together through the rest of the season. They are just a unit.
They're great. They're great. And I think, just tacked on to like a new and improved second line with your new 2C, I think that just makes them even better as a unit, just playing off of that. Like what the second line leaves you on the ice, they can come in and just clean that up. Like, that's what I'm excited about. Stuff like that. Really good. Go ahead.
No, I definitely, that's one of those things, because if you start breaking that up, that brings a lot of variables that you don't have a lot of games to put that all back together. Keep that
Yeah.
Roaring 20s line together.
And then your fourth line then would be what? You have, I mean, assuming Duheime is ready to go, you still have Cogliano. Um, if Trenin is in there, is that your fourth line? Well, obviously Zach
Uh,
Parise, so he's going to be on the fourth line. Now, this is like by doing all these trades, you have an influx of forwards right now for the Avalanche. I'm sure
I,
Kiviranta. I mean, you still have him too. I would assume
Cogliano,
Kiviranta and Cogliano has been. I don't know. He's been okay recently, so I think your Kiviranta is getting sent down. I'm sure. Wagner probably is, and Wagner I think got hurt at the or towards the end of the Detroit game, so I don't know what the extent of that is. Either way, he's going to go back down. Kiviranta probably does. I think your options here definitely Parisi. He's taken one for sure.
it's you got to go Parise as prop. He's got to go Parise. You got to go Trenin, and you got to go Duheime. Go your just the fresh line.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Why
just
not?
give it a shot. Give it a shot. You got them for a reason. See how it works.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah, it's tough to see like, oh, Cogliano's the odd man out. Um, you know what, man? Like, if the Avalanche are willing to trade Bo Byram to make this team better, and they feel like Cogliano is not on the level of what they need at a fourth line, they'll bench him. You know what I mean? Like, it's no longer like, oh, this is we're buddy and thank you for everything that you've done. No, like this is you're playing for something. So as much as again as we all like Andrew Cogliano, and maybe he takes a seat anyway just to see what you got with what you just brought in. So maybe that's your line for this game anyway. You're muted again. Can't hear you.
Yeah, he's just look at Cogliano as your offensive Jack Johnson, and if they sit out, it's fine. But yeah, Cogliano is your offensive Jack Johnson, and if you have to rest Jack Johnson or Cogliano, they're getting rests, and you're going to need them both for the playoffs, so it's not hurting anybody.
Yeah. And let's not forget Kovalenko still dangling out there too.
Yeah.
Who knows? I guess his team is one loss away from elimination over in the K, but it's another man. You've gone from look where you were like a week ago to now is you just have a gluttony of I don't want to say it's a gluttony of riches. It's just a gluttony is what it is. So when he gets here, that's another I don't know.
And Kovalenko's about to get eliminated by Bardakov that you got in the
Yeah.
McDermott trade.
Exactly. So, and then on the defensive end, we don't go too crazy about this. It's just where Walker fits in. Obviously, Taves and McCarr, your top line. Jack Johnson's your third pairing. Sammy G's been on the second pairing. Did you put Gerard with Manson? Did you put Gerard with Walker?
I put Gerard with Walker.
Yeah. I mean, and then that gives you kind of like a beefy third pairing with Johnson and Manson. Gerard and Walker, man, that you know what? As I'm looking at that and saying it out loud, that could be exciting for transitions.
Yes.
Those two guys are excellent at that. So,
and that's what you want to see. Like if you're going to make all those moves for the forward lines and talk about how great that top six is, you got to give that same level of attention to your decor, and that's exactly what you're doing. Perfect synergy between Walker and Sammy G.
So we'll touch on this game against the Wild. Do they have any chance to win this game, Minnesota Wild? We'll talk about that. Kyle's laughing already. We'll do that next. First, let's hear from Indeed. And no matter how the last game went, anytime you take the field, you've got a shot at greatness. Give your team the best shot at winning by recruiting more MVPs with Indeed, because if you are hiring, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. And Indeed is the only job site where you're guaranteed to find quality applications that meet your must-have requirements, or else you don't pay. So instead of spending hours on multiple job sites hoping to find candidates with the right skills, you need one powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. And Indeed partners with you on every step of the hiring process. Find great talent through time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match assessments and virtual interviews. And with Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates with resumes on Indeed that match your job description, and you can invite them to apply right away. Plus, you only pay for quality applications that meet your must-have requirements. Start hiring right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/lockedon. And this offer is valid through March 31st. So go to Indeed.com/lockedon to claim your $75 credit before March 31st. Once again, it's Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. And if you need to hire, then you need Indeed. All right. So when I was saying that, I didn't mean that as a dig on the Minnesota Wild. I was more talking about kind of like the excitement that's around the Avalanche right now because of moves that have been made. That doesn't mean that right off the bat everything works and everything clicks. And the Avs brought in a handful of guys here. I don't know. We know Mittelstadt's going to play. We know that Walker's going to play. Duheime, maybe. We don't know if they all play. Who knows how this game goes? But if you're an Avalanche fan or a member of the team, you have to feel like, and this is on home ice. I think that building's going to be rocking, and I think it's going to be a challenge for Minnesota.
And come on, you just defeated the Detroit Red Wings 7-2, one rival down. Minnesota, you have them right here. You can do more damage with your new additions, with the possibility of tying the central lead. You are 2 points back. You need those two. You have Dallas and Winnipeg also playing, but you're right there where you've been struggling, you've been reeling. You have the opportunity to put this back on track. All you have to do is just do your job. I would expect, because this team has only improved in their subtractions and their additions. So you expect a lot from this team, and you're in the home stretch. The playoffs are coming. You're under 20 games left. You expect a maximum effort and output. I'm really excited about this game.
Yeah, you want to get those guys going as quickly as possible. And they did get one practice in, so at least they got that. So, yeah, I think, maybe it takes a game or so to get, really into what this team. Remember Josh Manson? I always turn to Josh Manson about a trade, and they brought him in at the deadline, and it took him into the playoffs to really figure it out. It's a little bit different for defensemen. If for Mittelstadt, I wouldn't expect it to take that long. But maybe it does for Walker. Maybe that's something that we should watch. But I just think there's too much of I think they're just going to be like kids in candy stores tomorrow, and with all or their shiny new toys. And I think it's just you might get a little bit of just passes, or maybe just a touch off coming from Mittelstadt or coming from Walker, but I don't think it'll be so bad because I think they're just gonna be so amped up where any mistake they just turn around and they just fly back and correct it and hey, let's get it again and go up ice again. I do. I think this is going to be a tough game for Minnesota, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the rest of the year too. This is going to be fun,
especially if Duheime gets to play against his former team.
Yeah,
who doesn't enjoy that?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And the one other thing I want to bring up earlier, so far, like I said, there's another day left. There could be another move or so. To this point, I haven't given up any prospects, with the exception of I'm talking about the bigger name prospects. You gave up Hansel.
Yeah,
you gave up Hansel, but the big names that we're kind of excited to see. Hanzo was never really going to make it up to the NHL level. I don't expect, but the names that the Callum Ritchies, the Guliayevs, Barons, like those guys, they're still here.
Tufty.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing that they're getting rid of is draft picks, and where the Avalanche are right now, I'm okay with that. I am okay with that.
Yeah,
So.
they're committing to this season and to this top to bottom makeup of this roster.
Yeah,
I hope you enjoy this team because this is what it's going to look like for a while.
Could be. So that's going to wrap it up, everybody. Enjoy the game. I don't think we'll be back to, it's a Friday game. We'll see how it goes. If we have a special edition in us, maybe we'll jump on and knock one out. So we'll see. If not, for now, thank you for tuning in and making this one your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli, and this is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you later.